our time. Your task is to join the club.
The restoration
For your
theater,
assignment,
and
you
then
will
we're
design
also
a creative
about
work based on
Romanticism
Othello.
and Realism.
You'll be presenting your final project to the class. So these
So
are
the
your
first thing
assignment
you're going to
choices.
do is
So you can make a
follow
graphic
this
novel,
link, or
so you can
go
write
to
an
YouTube and
illustrative
find this
4-page
video
graphic
about the
novel
English
of one act
Restoration
of
period.
Othello. So you don't
It's
have
going to
do
give you a
whole
brief
play,
overview
just one
of
act.
what happened
This must
during
be
the time
fully
period
illustrated
and
and
some
have at least
examples of
one
some plays from
full
that time
direct
period
quote
as well.
per page. Pages must be full.
So let's go over some
8.5 by
background
11.
information. So the Puritans forced King Charles
So
I
you can
out of
have an
power.
electronic
After his
poster as
death,
an
the
option.
Commonwealth was established, but
So make
ended
an
in
electronic poster
1660
that
when
develops
Charles II
one
was
of
named
Othello's
king.
themes.
Thus begins the
Most must have
Restoration
2
era.
quotations
So
that
it's
fit
when
the
the king
chosen
was
theme
restored to
and
the
an accompanying
throne.
illustration.
Returned from exile in
Explanations of the
France,
drawing
Charles II
and
brought
quotes
many
also must
French
be included.
influences.
So you're going to make a
changes to the
poster, and then
theater.
you're also going to write why did you pick
Theater in the
those
Restoration
pictures,
era.
why did you
Charles
pick those
II
quotes to
issued
represent
royal
your
pens
theme.
to 2 of his friends, which
You have
allowed
a
them to
music
establish
option, so
2
you can write
officially
and perform a
legitimate
2 to
theaters.
3-minute song
These were
or
the
rap
only
that
2
summarizes
theater
the
groups
events
allowed
of
to
Othello
perform in London.
and talks about
One of the
unit
groups
themes while
built the
using
Drury
5
Lane, a
Othello
theater still in
references.
operation today.
You can do a monologue.
This was
so you
the
can
first time
memorize
period
one of Othello's
that women
four
were allowed to
significant
be
soliloquies,
actresses
give a
during
dramatic
this time
reading for the
period.
class.
So at first
You
the
must
idea
also
was
write a
extremely
one-page
controversial,
analysis of
but
the
the
soliloquy.
but eventually the idea
You can do a
became
poetry
very
project.
popular. So remember,
So you
up
can
until
write
now,
3 lines,
men
3
or young
poems
boys
inspired
would
by
play
the
women's
soliloquies,
roles.
themes,
This is the first
and
time
language.
women were allowed to
Each
be
poem must
in
be
the
at least
theater
15 lines
and
long and
perform.
use 5 Shakespearean words.
Audience members were now
You have the
mostly
option of
members
writing
of the
a
upper
journal.
class.
You can write a
lower class
3-page
members
journal
no
as one
longer
of the
attended the
characters.
theater.
You have to make sure
Members
you
of the
include
upper class
references
would
to the
usually
events
send
in
their
the play,
servants early
and
to
at
save a
least
seat
2
for
direct
them,
quotes from
and
the
then they would
play
arrive after
per
the performance
page.
had
So
already begun.
you should have 6
So theater
overall.
became more of a social affair
Your
and
next
more
option is
of
switching
who
it
can
up.
see
So
me
you can write
and
a
see
new
that
ending
I'm
to the
there
play.
and
Your
see
scene should be
where
at
I'm
least
sitting,
2 full
unless
double-spaced type
I'm going to
pages.
the play
In
to
addition,
see
you
the
should write
play.
one paragraph
General
explaining
people
why
went
you
to the
changed
theater
what you
to be
did
seen, not
and
to
how
see
it
the
connects to
show.
the theme.
Ladies usually wore
Your next
masks to
option
the
is a
theaters.
newspaper.
Playwrights
You can
wrote
create
to
a
please
tabloid
this new
newspaper
upper
that
class
recaps
audience,
various
often
events and elements
including
of the
current
play in a
gossip in their
gossip column
plays.
format.
So they very much
So
so
if you
geared
look
their
through
plays to the audience
rubric, you can
members,
see
and
what
they would
you will be
include gossip
graded
that was
on.
going around the upper
You will be
class
turning
in their
in your
plays
project
as well.
as well
Let's go over
as
some famous
presenting it to
restoration
the class. So make
playwrights.
sure that you're ready
So
to present
we
the
had
project
William
as
Worsley
well.
wrote The Country Wife. Richard Brinsley Sheridan wrote The School for Scandal, and Oliver Goldsmith wrote She Stoops to Conquer, 3 of the most popular plays during this time period. We also saw Aphra Behn, who was one of the theater's first women playwrights during this time period as well. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Romanticism and Realism, which is where your project is actually going to be about. So first section we're going to talk about is the Romanticism time period. So click on this link or go to YouTube to watch this video about theater in the 19th century. Okay, so let's talk about some historical information. There was major literary and artistic movement in the 19th century. Romanticism represented life as people wished it would be rather than how it really was. There's beliefs of the period were driven by the individual's feelings and emotions, and it began in Germany. Theater during this time. Special effects emerged on stage during this era. Special effects shown on stage included fires, floods, train wrecks, and horse races. There's also over-exaggeration vocal techniques and gesturing. So that's kind of what the Romantic style was about. They would have over-exaggerated gestures and vocal techniques. So there's 2 famous playwrights. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe wrote the Faust, not to be confused with Dr. Faustus. They're 2 separate plays. And Alexander Dumas wrote The 3 Musketeers and the Count of Monte Cristo. Okay, so Realism. You're going to click on this video, Realism in Theater 101, or go find it on YouTube, and they're going to talk a little bit about realism. So it began in a reaction to Romanticism, and it represented things as they were in life and dealt with social problems. So people are like, hey, Romanticism isn't how life really is, and we want to see something that reflects what life really is like. This was happening in all art forms, so literature, theater, art itself. So it wasn't just in theater, but people wanted to see things they were really going through in life during this time period. Scientific discoveries were often incorporated into the storylines of realistic plays as well. In realistic plays, the mind ruled over emotions, and most plays did not have a happy ending. New acting styles became necessary with realism, so it was more subtle and believable acting. So Konstantin Stanislavski was huge during this time period. He was a Russian actor and director, and fellow colleagues from the Moscow Art Theater developed method acting. So this is where you actually pretend like you are that character, and you get into the mind of that character. So it's not exaggerated, it's more, I am this character. So some famous realist playwrights. It's Henrik Ibsen. He's the father of realism. He wrote about subjects that had never been in plays before. So a lot of realist playwrights will tackle really controversial topics, and they make some sort of a statement about some social issues. So he wrote A Doll's House, Hedda Gabler, and An Enemy of the People, and his work was definitely very controversial for the time. August Strindberg was also a popular playwright. He explored the psychology of the character, and he wrote The Playwright. And Anton Chekhov wrote about the changing society in Russia, and he wrote The Cherry Orchard. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to do for your project. So for your project, you're going to be comparing Romanticism and Realism. So remember, Romanticism is everything is an ideal form. If it was a perfect world, this is what it would be like. And realism is more how life actually was. For this project, you're going to write a play synopsis for both a Romanticism play and a realist play. So your play should both have the general premise, but should be adjusted to fit that style of writing. You'll then present both synopses to the class. So you're going to be writing one basic play, and then you're going to basically adjust it for Romanticism and Realism. So pick a topic and then write a scenario of a play that would include that topic, but two ways. One is if it was a realistic play, and one is if it was a Romanticism play. And as you'll see, you can go through the rubric to see how you're going to be graded on this. Remember, this is both a written and presentation grade.